So, and what he means by that is, in a Greek book, the characters are different because the characters are able to hear themselves speak. Okay? Hear yourself speak. Okay? Those are his words. What does it mean to hear yourself speak? It means that as I'm speaking to you, there's also a part of me that steps back and analyzes what I say. Okay? It has to make sense to me, it has to make sense to you. And we call this consciousness. Okay? To be human means to be conscious. But to be conscious is ultimately an act of imagination. Because while you're speaking, you have to step back. Okay? We actually call this disassociation. You have to disassociate, meaning basically that as you are speaking, as you are in this world, a part of you, almost like a ghost, steps away and observes the entire scene. And not only am I imagining myself speaking, but I'm also imagining what is happening inside your mind, your heart, as I'm speaking. My effect on you, okay? All right? So let's look at how this applies to the Iliad. Okay, so remember in the first book of the Iliad, Agamemnon and Achilles, they are having an argument. They're having an argument because Agamemnon kidnapped a girl. The father demanded to ransom her back. Agamemnon broke the rules of war, of piracy, and said, no, I like her, screw you, I'm the king of kings, I'll do whatever I want. The father is a priest of Apollo. Apollo starts a plague among the Greek soldiers, they're all dying. And Achilles says to Agamemnon and says, we're all dying on the shores of Troy. So you have to give the girl back. And Agamemnon says, sure, I'll give her back, but now I want your girl in return. Okay? And this starts the main conflict of the Iliad. What's interesting is that how conscious they are, okay? So what's happening is that this is a war council. And in a war council, the Greek generals get together and decide on policy. And so as Agamemnon is speaking, okay, if you observe his speech, he's doing three things at once. Okay? The first and most important thing is that he's responding to Achilles. Right? Achilles says, you have to give the girl back. And Agamemnon says, fine, I'll give the girl back, but in return, I want your girl. So that's a response to Achilles. He feels as though Achilles made him lose face, so now he wants to make Achilles lose face as well. Okay? But also, what's important is that Agamemnon is considering how others are perceiving the interaction, right? What does Agamemnon require or demand Achilles' girlfriend? Because Agamemnon does not want to lose face amongst the others, okay? So he recognizes that if he just says to Achilles, you know what, Achilles, you're right, he would lose face amongst the other generals. He would lose respect. And in this world, if no one respects you, you could get killed, okay? These people are gangsters. So he recognizes that in order to save face, I must now demand something from Achilles to show that I am his superior. Okay, he's so conscious of that as well. But also, at the same time, he's going to step back, okay? And he's going to be conscious of his own words to make sure that his words together make sense. That for him, it is coherent, okay? And so what he says to Achilles is, why am I doing this? Because I love my girlfriend. Okay? You stole from me who I love. And therefore, I must enact a vengeance on you. Okay, so you see how coherent all this. He is saying to Achilles, to ensure that you understand that I'm your superior, I'm going to take what you most prize. And then he's thinking about the reaction of the war council to make sure that they understand that he's still the top boss. But he's also, in his head, ensuring that what he says is coherent in itself, okay? That what he's doing has a rationale. And the rationale is because I loved her. Because you're stealing from me my greatest love. I love her more than my own wife, Clytemnestra. Okay? So you can see how coherent all this. And this is amazing if you think about it, right? And this is what makes Agamemnon a real character to us. All right? But the other thing is that Achilles behaves the same way, okay? He is alive in the scene. He is listening to Agamemnon, and his response is this: why are you stealing from me what is rightfully mine? Agamemnon, I came to Troy not because I hate the Trojans. I have nothing against the Trojans. I came to Troy because you ordered me to come to Troy. And so I'm risking my life for you. You gain most of the treasure. You gain most of the profit from this war. I take a little bit, and now you're stealing that little bit from me as well, okay? So why is Achilles saying this? Achilles is saying this as response to Agamemnon, but he's also saying this in order to win sympathy from the others as well, right? And he's also doing this because he's conscious of who he is, okay? They're trying, it's a battle of worldviews, okay? Worldview. What they're really trying to do is, through their speeches, they're trying to control reality. Okay? Through their speeches, they're trying to impose the reality on others. And that's why this is such an emotional, violent scene between the two. Okay? And then what happens, which is even more amazing, is that Agamemnon hears Achilles speak, and then what he does is that he responds to Achilles using his own memory and experience, okay? And what he says to Achilles is, Achilles, you say that you came here to fight for me, but we all know that you are vain. You're a narcissist. You're an asshole. You came here to win glory for yourself. You're just using me as an excuse, as a pretext, in order to win glory on the shores of Troy. That's why you really came, so don't give me this crap about you making all the sacrifices for me. You can't make sacrifices for others because you're a selfish asshole. Okay? And then Achilles' response is that, fine, if you do that, then I won't fight for you anymore. So you can see how real this is. Okay? And again, what's amazing is that this all comes in the mind of one person, Homer, the poet. Okay, so imagine this where, as I'm speaking to you, I'm able to mentally lift off and observe the entire class, where not only am I hearing myself speak, okay, and I'm measuring and observing the effect of my words, but I'm also able to go into your mind, one by one, and think about how my words are changing your reality. How they're impacting your emotions, how they're impacting your memory. And think about their impact on you and how they will guide your behavior and actions tomorrow, 10 years from now. Okay? But then what's even more amazing is that as this is happening, Nestor, right? Nestor, who is one of the older generals, he comes into the scene and he tries to reconcile Agamemnon and Achilles. Okay? So not only are the two main characters have a life of their own, but the observers have a life of their own as well. So in the Iliad, what's amazing is that not only are the main characters alive, but every single character whether it's Odysseus, Hector, Priam, Nestor, they're all alive as well with real emotions and real feelings and real experiences. Okay? And the reason why, and we know this, is that if this is true, then we're able to look back at how this came into being in the past. And we're also able to make predictions about the future. And all this is coherent. Okay? So based on this, we will now know that the major conflict in the Iliad is the one between Agamemnon and Achilles, where they're struggling for control over narrative, where Achilles wants everyone to believe that he is doing everything he can to save the Greeks. He's a hero. And Agamemnon is trying to get everyone to believe that Achilles is just a selfish asshole. Okay? And that's what leads them to behave the way they do, including suicidal behavior. Because remember, as you read, Hector and the Trojans are coming to burn down the ships of the Greeks. Okay? They do that, every single Greek will be killed by the Trojans. And even at this point in time, both Agamemnon and Achilles refuses to give up their narrative. Okay? They insist they're right. So that when Odysseus comes to Achilles and begs Achilles, please come back and join us, we'll give you all the money in the world. Agamemnon has promised his daughter to you. We'll give you all of Troy after we conquer Troy. And Achilles says, no,